Okay, this video is just a complement to the road and terrain video that I've done a bit in the past. And the idea is that we're going to take a look at how to take a mesh that comes from probably another software, or even if you've done in Max, but you didn't create it in order to deform anything on it. You just have this mesh, and then you want to apply a geometry on top of it. So if it's just a 2D plane or 2D geometry, you can use the conform tool that you can find in the compound object, and you've got the conform here where you can conform another object to the shape of this one. But if it's a 3D object, you cannot use the conform because all the vertices will be flattened on that surface. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to the standard primitives, and I'm going to create a box on the side here that will be some kind of road, and we're going to make it about this high, so that's going to be about 2 inches. And the importance of the height here is important because it's a bit later we'll need to know how high it is. And we're going to just define, I'm just going to go back here in the edge faces, and we're going to define enough vertices, enough segments, sorry, so that we can deform this geometry correctly. So maybe 35, 37, something like that. Alright, so now that we've got enough geometry, I'm just going to go back to the solid view. And we're going to go into modifier stack. And wait, we're not going to work on the box yet. We're just going to wait for it for a second. And we're going to go back to our editable mesh, which is the terrain that comes from, that we have to deform this box to. So in order to do that, we've got a couple of operations to do on this terrain. So the first thing we're going to do, right-click and clone it, and we're going to just make a copy of it. I'm going to call it plane 02 and click OK. Now we've got this exact copy of it. It's an editable mesh. So what I want to do here is I want to make it fully planar. So I'm going to right-click and convert it to an editable poly, so that I can access those new tools to make planar in X, Y, and Z. And if I take a look at the axis here, I want to make that planar in Z. So I'm going to press the Z key here. So now all of this is totally planar. Alright, now that this is planar, on top of this editable poly, we're going to apply a morpher object. Here we go. And the first one here, we're going to right click and pick from scene, and we're going to grab our original mesh. So now that what we've got is this editable poly, which is flat. If you just bring the shape to 100% here, the first morph target, you will just shape it back to the original geometry. Now the original geometry, you can keep it if you want to, or you can just delete it. I don't need it for now. So now if we take a look at the morpher, if you bring it to 100%, you'll go back to that shape. So the idea now is that we've got a totally flat plane. We're going to grab this box here, and we're going to align it to this shape here. And we're just going to align it in position X, Y, and Z. And I'm just going to bring it up just a bit so that it's standing right on the surface there. Alright, so when it's there, I'm going to apply the same technique as we did before. We're just going to apply a skin wrap on top of it. And we're going to just adjust, the distance of influence. So the threshold, I don't even remember yet, the height of the box, so that's 2 inches. So we're going to go back to the skin wrap here. We're going to make the threshold to something like maybe 3 inches will be good, to make sure that it contains everything. And we're going to make sure also that the distance of influence is superior to 3 inches. So I'm going to put it to 3 here, so that's actually superior or equal to 3. So when it's all done, you just add the flat plane here as the deformer object. So I'm going to click here, and it's going to add it to as a deformer. I'm going to turn this off. We have enough objects for deformation. And if I go back here and I start to deform it, you'll see that the road will be following. So you just bring it to 100%. You've got your full deformation. And then, since you probably want to export it to something else, or you want to use it just as an editable mesh, you can convert it back to either an editable mesh or editable poly. And you can do the same thing for the road here. Just convert it to an editable mesh, and you've got your 2 objects that are still editable mesh but are fully following the surface of each other. So that's how you take an existing terrain and use pretty much the same technique of the skin wrap to deform a road or a geometry on top of it, but starting with an existing already deformed geometry.